Also, I'm going to try to set up a poll, because we're curious to know a bit more about you, as best we can, with closed-ended questions, I might add, but we'll do our best. So just bear with me as I launch that poll. And as we're waiting to get officially started, if you could just quickly go down, there's, I think, 7 questions, and do your very best if you can. It always helps us to understand the makeup of the people that come to our webinars. That we hold these every month, and we're always working on who are we speaking to, what are the topics, and so on and so forth. And while I'm waiting for that to happen, I think we are right on the dot. So welcome, everybody. We've had quite a response to this particular webinar, and it's always great to see. And it's, of course, one of the most powerful ways to learn coaching. So probably important for me to say who the heck I am as I'm talking here. So I am Allison Hendren. I'm the CEO and founder of Coaching Out of the Box. And for any of you that maybe already know me and some that don't, I am absolutely passionate about the power and value of coaching. And I think there is no more important time that as many as people as possible, that's part of our vision, is what if everyone had coaching skills, that we all learned this incredible communication tool. Some of us will learn it in a much more in-depth way and go to get credentialing. Some of us will learn a way to communicate as leaders, as managers, and not be quite as in-depth. But what if we all used more of this approach? And I just want to tempt you with something here that I love to share when we do our webinars. And I want to ask this question: what if we all had improved listening, improved communication, improved ability to give feedback, improved conflict resolution, positively impacted relationships, improvement in team dynamics and team communication in organization, and increased ability to engage in conversations that are solutions focused? That is what happens when you use coaching. And I know that because we presented those findings. Coaching Out of the Box presented those findings to Harvard Medical School, McLean Hospital, and Institute of Coaching a while back. And that was based on one or a few organizations who embraced coaching and started to put that into their culture and did an analysis with external people. And that's what they came up with. So I always like to say, what if we all had that? So anyway, that's just a bit about me. Obviously, you can see the slide that is up front. And while I'm at it, I'd like to introduce a couple of other people that are on the webinar today. And Sandra, I wonder, Sandra Anger, if you would be willing to show your face and say a couple of things about what you do at Coaching Out of the Box.
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. I'm thrilled to be here with you guys today. I saw a few names that I've already spoken to, so I'm super excited to actually see you today, hopefully. So my name is Sandra Anger. I'm the program advisor here at Coaching Out of the Box, which means during the program, if candidates have questions, they can reach out to me. But also before the program, some people have questions. They want to know what's going on, how are the classes being held. The ICF credential process seems to be a big thing for everybody. That seems to be a very, very complicated process. So I'm here to answer any questions you guys might have. You have my Calendly link, so if you want to book a call with me, I'm always available. I love to speak with people, so please book a time with me. It will be my pleasure to speak with you.
Great. Thanks, Sandra. And she's such a welcome member of our team. And another member who is one of our fabulous coach facilitators, in other words, our trainers who deliver some of our programs, many of our programs. I'd like to introduce and have Sunivi say a couple of things. She will also be coaching today. So Sunivi, if you'd like to say a couple of things about yourself, that would be fantastic.
Sure. Thanks, Allison. Excited to be here as well. My first time on one of these Coaching Out of the Box webinars. And I do see a few familiar faces in the room from our Fast Track to Coaching program. So looking forward to working alongside you all and having you participate in this webinar today. Just wanted to speak to sort of my intro here, and as Allison says, you can all read this slide, but I guess some of the highlights are that I saw there were a few RRU graduates in the room or people currently studying in that program, so I also am a graduate of the program and was lucky enough to have Allison as my instructor at the time, so that's sort of how that connection happened. I also went on to do my Master of Arts degree there in leadership, and so what I'm passionate about is leadership, and I really do see the role that coaching plays in developing leaders. So I do work full-time in a large healthcare organization as a talent manager and an internal coach, and then I also provide coach facilitation training through our Fast Track program. So excited to be here today and to do some coaching demos and see how we go.
Great. Thanks so much, Sunivi. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to end the poll. I've had it up for a while, and what I'd like to do is share the results. I asked a number of questions. I'm always testing what kind of questions to ask, and so here we are. I'm sharing it. I hope people can see this up on the screen. So we've got some that are ICF credentialed coaches. In other words, they hold a coaching credential. Some are researching. What are they going to do? Are they going to become a coach? 39%. That's so interesting. Some are curious about becoming a coaching educator, and that's very interesting. It's so much fun. That's what we're going to be doing a little bit of today. And some are working in organizations, 61%, 39% are external to organizations. Some are full-time, some are not, some are part-time. That's quite common. And some are working on their ICF credential, and some are not. So that makes perfect sense given the questions that I asked. So so I'm going to stop sharing that, and we're just going to move forward here. Bear with me. So the purpose today is, and I just want to emphasize this, we're going to have 2 coaching demonstrations. I also have another wonderful person who has offered to be a coachee as well. And I see that she's there. So Carlitha, bear with me. You and I will be doing the second coaching demonstration. And thank you so much for being here. And we'll say a bit more when we get to that point. These are real. There is no preparation that we've done. It'll probably be obvious when you see me coaching anyway. But this is what we want you to see. This is not, we have no idea. We have no idea what's going to happen. We hope that what will happen as you watch these and observe these, that you see some skills and tips that you learn, maybe even a few aha moments. And you'll see 2 different styles, obviously, because Sunivi and I are different human beings. So we'll have a couple of different styles that you'll see here, but we'll all be adhering to or using as part of our coaching the coaching competencies that are as identified by the International Coach Federation. And at the end of each demo, we'll have the demo happen for approximately 15 minutes. Then we'll do a debrief, and we'll talk about what happened, and we'll pay attention in the chat area for questions and so on. And in fact, this is perfect timing for me to introduce someone else. And that is Sandra Mall. And Sandra is our fantastic operations person extraordinaire, incredible. And she will be monitoring the chat area. And I'm not sure whether she's on video or not. And she doesn't know that I'm saying, she didn't know that I was necessarily saying this. So can you just say a couple of words, Sandra?
I certainly can. Hi, all. Good to see you.
Oh, good.
I'll be here in the background, just managing the chat, answering any questions that you may have. So please feel free to let me know if I can help.
Perfect. Okay, great. So yes, the chat is there for you to make comments, observations, all of those sorts of things. And so what I'd like to do now is I just want to just remind everybody or kind of anchor us in what the ICF, the International Coach Federation, which is the largest professional association of coaches in the world. This is what we're talking about. This is the idea. This is the definition of coaching that we stand by as well. And that is, as you can read, partnering with clients, customers, colleagues, or employees in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So that's what we're paying attention to as well. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to put the next slide up. And I'm also going to have Sinibi, and Sandra Anger has agreed to be the coachee today, and have the two of you come on video. And I am going to go off mine, if I can make that happen. And this little screen thing has changed for some reason, so bear with me here. And I'll go on my mute as well. And so we will allow just the two of you to be there on the screen. I am not seeing Sinibi or Sandra, so let's hope we can see you in a minute. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Maybe that will help. Oh, that's better. Oops, something just happened here. Great. Okay, so there's Sinibi and Sandra. So go ahead.
All right.
And
Are you
just one? Yeah, perfect. Okay, now it's working great. Thank you.
okay? Good. Are you okay to keep time for us, Allison, and just let me know when we've got a couple minutes left?
Good point. Yes, I will.
Awesome. Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right. So thank you, Sandra. Nice to meet you. And as Allison says, this is totally unscripted, off the cuff. This is actually the first time we're meeting live in person. So just want to thank you for putting up your hand and volunteering to participate in this coaching demo today, and also recognize the fact that the environment may be a little challenging given we're in a virtual world and there are many eyes looking at you right now and you're being recorded. So want to just take a moment to ground ourselves and set that safe space to be able to make the most of this 15 minutes that we have together today.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And it's nice to see you. Yes, nice to meet you. To actually see you.
To see each other live in person. So we just have a very short span of time. We've got 15 minutes today. So we're just wondering what's top of mind for you? What would be valuable for you to take away from the coaching today?
So I want to talk about a relationship that I have with my assistant at work, and a little issue that I have with her, and I would love to get clarity on that, and potentially maybe getting a little bit of how to proceed next would be great.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like there's an issue with an assistant that you've got at work. You're looking for some clarity, and you're looking for what that next step might look like.
Yes, if we can get that in 15 minutes.
Okay, we will try. So tell me a little bit more around this particular issue.
So my assistant, she's a lovely, lovely woman. I love her. She was not, she was given to me when I first started the job. So she is wonderful. She has beautiful qualities, and I recognize those. However, there's some little issues with her finesse, I could say. Like, she's a reflection of me, obviously. So whenever I hire new staff, whenever I have, so she's the point of contact for most of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make sure that everything is done a certain way, very professional, very from the get-go. And I find that sometimes there's little things that are missing.
Okay.
The thing that I'm challenged with, it's not necessarily her personality to think of all those little details that are important to me,
Mm-hmm.
but she doesn't necessarily think of doing that. So I'm trying to find a way to still validate her and her work, because she's wonderful and she adds so much to my work, but those little details really, really impact me. And sometimes I cringe when I see an email that was sent not the right way. No, I can't say the right way, the way that I would like.
Right.
So it's just, so like I said, I'm just trying to find a way to talk to her, validate her, and yet put my point across, because it has been, I have talked to her in the past.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't resonated with her. I don't think my way worked, because it hasn't resonated with her to the point where I've seen a change that was longer than a week.
Okay.
So
Okay. So there's a few different strands to this. The first that I'm hearing is that there's a lack of detail orientation in how she's showing up to her work. The second is that potentially there's a lack of meeting your expectations. And the third is that there's an impact to yourself and probably beyond that, the business or the organization.
Yes.
Am I hearing that correctly?
That is exactly right. Yes.
Okay. So which of those three pieces might be most helpful to tackle or look at a little bit more closely?
I think my reaction to it, because I don't like the person that I become angry, and I become like, I get triggered when I see those things. And then I'm thinking, oh, that's not good. Like, I don't want to have that with her, because I love her so much. And I want that we continue having a great relationship. So I think that's the one that's really weighing on me more.
Okay. So tell me a bit more about this anger, like when that emotion rises and it starts to bubble up for you, what might be the triggers that lead towards that moment?
Well, it's definitely my ego, because I'm thinking, oh, I don't look professional, or we don't look professional at this point. I feel myself tensing up and becoming like, what are they going to think? It's a horrible way to live, and I get it, and I'm trying to be mindful that they can recognize myself and her, that we're two different people. It's just, it's really, like I said, it's in a second I feel myself going into that place. So yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like it happens like really quickly. Like when you're triggered, it's a very quick reaction and response, and you're shifting automatically to that emotion of anger.
Absolutely, yes. And that's my first emotion usually goes, anger.
Okay. And so that to me leads me to wonder or be curious around, how long has this been happening for?
Ever since we started. So it's been 6 years I've been working with her.
Okay. That's what I was wondering, because typically when you're hearing that there's a pattern of behavior and it is triggering this emotional response, that potentially it's been happening for a little while. So, okay, it's been happening for 6 years. Okay. So you said that you've tried to talk to her in the past and it has had very limited impact. What other things have you tried within this 6-year time frame to address this particular issue?
So besides talking to her, I've taken on some of her responsibility, being like, okay, well, I'll send that email. I will take on that email. And she seems to be relieved, actually, because I'm finally doing what she is not. So that's what I've been doing. Because like, well, might as well just do it myself.
Okay. So you're just taking on more, and probably that's not helping the anger, I would imagine.
No, it's not. And it's mostly like, it's not supposed to be my job. So I'm just taking it on because I prefer that than being angry. But that's not the way to do this.
Yeah, for sure. And so what I'm hearing you say is that this anger is having like a big impact on how you want to show up and your effectiveness. So when you think about getting a handle on this anger, being able to channel it or control it or funnel it into something, where would be the first place that you might start to address this?
That's a good question. I know now that I'm actually mindful of it because I'm
Mhm.
able to speak to you about it today, which means like there's been a process. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to, whenever I feel that emotion coming, I will take a breath and
Okay.
try to sit with it
Yep.
and be like, okay, so what's happening right now? So doing mostly coaching myself
Yeah.
and like, okay, so what's going on? Why am I so triggered?
Mhm.
I find it's mostly, like you said, because it's been years of this,
Mhm.
it's like it's resentment that's building. So trying to really look at the resentment and be like, well, and putting it on me at this point, being like, you clearly haven't set an expectation that was clear to her
Mhm.
because it's still happening. So so that helps because I'm putting it back on myself. So I'm
Mhm.
looking for the next step. Okay, I'm putting it on myself. That's great. But now what can I do at this point?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm hearing that you're just willing to sort of take that pause, take that breath, and also examine it from the perspective of, I guess, yourself. Like, what part of this do I own? What part of this can I potentially control and take accountability for?
100%. That's the only person I can change is myself, right?
Yeah.
So I have to find a way to get my message across and make it so we're good.
Mhm.
I'm always happy with her work.
Yeah. So when you're not in a space of anger, because obviously you don't show up that way every day to work or in life, like when you are your best self, imagine your best self approaching this particular situation. So without the anger, you are in your zone, you're living your best life, you're going to come into work and you are going to find a way to tackle this. What would that look like for you?
The coach approach has changed the way I manage. When I became a coach, it changed the way I talk to my employees.
Mm-hmm.
So the best me is asking questions instead of telling. I'm still in the it's still a hard thing when I'm managing and when I'm coaching. I feel I have two different hats on.
Yeah.
And when I'm managing, I go more towards the telling instead
Okay.
of asking.
Yeah.
And that usually works. And I haven't done that a lot with her.
Okay.
Mostly the coach approach and really, really making her responsible for her actions as well. Because right now I'm responsible for my own reaction, but
Mm-hmm.
potentially talking to her about that would probably be a good way to do that because clearly telling hasn't worked with her.
Okay. So it sounds like you're almost going to need to switch between two hats, between your manager hat and your coach hat, and maybe find a way to utilize the coach approach, which you know is sort of really comfortable and natural and familiar to you, and be able to apply it in this setting with letting that emotion go and not having that be part of this conversation.
Yes, it would just be hard because I haven't done that a lot with
Yeah.
her. So I think that's why I never came to that realization that maybe I should just use a coach approach.
Yeah.
I've never done that. She's always seen me as the manager, the person that
Right.
tells, the person that tells. So
Okay. Well, what would it take for you to just be able to let that go and show up in a different way with her?
I think I'll have to tell her what I'm doing.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think it will be so weird because our relationship is not like that. So she'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, what's happening right now? Like, why are you asking me all those questions? She might be taken aback. So I think, and she knows that I've done the coaching certification and that I'm a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So potentially telling her, okay, so I'd like to try something with you and asking her permission, obviously, if that would be okay for us to just change the dialogue a little bit. That could be, that could be a good way to
Mm-hmm.
that and just to obviously so she would be comfortable starting that conversation with me if I tell her that I would use the coach approach and explain to her maybe
5 minutes.
Thanks, Allison.
Allison, and maybe telling her what that coach approach kind of looks like before we start, so again she's not being startled by it or defensive because that's not what I want at all.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like there's an action shaping up here. When will you commit to taking this step and having this conversation by?
Next week. It has to be done. I'm ready anyways. And today that just came very, very quickly when I thought, what should I be coached on? And that came to my head. So that's something that I want to tackle on by next Friday for sure. I want to do it.
Okay, well, I just want to acknowledge your commitment to taking action, immediate action. And it sounds like that's going to have a huge impact for you, not only for you, but also for this employee. And also in terms of sort of the impact to the business or the organization, probably you're going to see some positive effects there as well. Is there anything that's going to prevent you from being successful in taking this step?
Nope. Nope, I don't see any because I'm ready, I'm committed, and I want it done because, like I said, I want us to have a great relationship, and right now that's an obstacle to that. So yes, I definitely want to tackle this on sooner than later.
Awesome. Well, it's pretty clear to me that you are committed to making this change. You're committed to showing up as your best self and stepping into your leadership and using that coach approach to its full capacity. So just want to acknowledge you for being willing to do that, Sandra, because not all leaders are. And I think you're going to see a huge impact as a result of that. So I believe our time is probably close to being up, but just want to thank you for, again, participating in this coaching demo with me today.
Well, thank you, and I feel great, so thank you.
Awesome. Good. Glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Well, all right. So first of all, thank you so much for being willing to do this, Sandra Anger, and of course, Sinivi. Really, really good. And what I want to do first of all is I want to check in with you, Sandra, and then I'm going to check in with you, Sinivi, and then we'll say a few things. So, and please, for any of you who are observing this, as I'm doing this, you can also, make comments in the chat area. What did you notice? What skills did you see used? And what did you learn? So what did you notice? What skills did you see used? And what did you learn? And you will support the debrief of the coaching demo as well. We're collaborating together. Coaching is all about that and tapping into the brilliance, the wisdom of everyone. And so Sandra Anger, so for you, it was just short. I know it was, and it's amazing what can happen in 15 minutes. But tell me, what were 3 key things that you are walking away with? What's different for you as a result of this conversation today?
Definitely, my God. So it's been in my face. Using a coach approach, duh. I'm a coach. I could do that, and yet changing that up is so something because you're used to being in a certain mode. And I wasn't a coach 6 years ago when I started. So now to change that up, I love that Sinivi pointed the 3 separate components of my problem. I love that because I never saw it like that. I thought, oh my God, that's amazing. Yes, that's what it is. And I'm taking away, I feel so much freer in my body because I could feel the tension when I was talking to her. And then at one point when I came up with, how about I just speak to her about, hey, I'm going to use a coach approach. And then everything just calmed down in my body. It felt like my breath just went and relaxed. So that was amazing. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Excellent comments. And Sinivi, how about for you? Because, and by the way, I just really want to acknowledge you for doing this because I know, it takes guts to do something and not have it rehearsed and not really know, and publicly in front of a whole pile of people. And there's a whole pile of people here today. So 66 to be exact, no pressure. So go ahead.
That was actually great. I feel like we got a lot done in 15 minutes. And I love that in coaching, you can actually accomplish quite a bit within a small period of time. And I think working within an organization as a leader, you're not always going to have half an hour or an hour to have a conversation. You might have 5 minutes or 10 minutes here or there. So I think if you can really hone in and focus on those key pieces, and even if it was just one strand we addressed today, at least Sandra now has one thing she can take away and work on, and she's going to action right away, and you're seeing that immediate results and progress. So that is so fulfilling as a coach when your coachee has that takeaway.
Anything else?
Not really. Like I feel like Sandra was extremely coachable, very open, very self-aware. You don't always have that with coachees. So the fact, and very vulnerable, the fact that she's willing to put it out there that, hey, this is making me angry, I'm being triggered, it's happening really quickly, it's been happening for a long time. It takes guts to admit that, it takes guts to say that out loud, and then it takes guts to actually take a step back and do something about it. So, you know, Sandra, I applaud you for your willingness to address this. And as I mentioned earlier, you're going to see some results, obviously, from taking some action towards this.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for your comments. And what's so cool is as you're commenting, as Sandra Anger was commenting, we're seeing all these fabulous comments in the chat area of the learnings, zeroing in on specific things. And I wanted to say, yes, very quickly, it is amazing what can happen in 15 minutes. And as Sunivi said, it's amazing what can happen even in 5 minutes when you use a coach approach. This is a beautiful demonstration of coaching. And I just want to emphasize, Sunivi has had some experience at this. She's not brand new to it, and so it develops over time, and she has demonstrated that by her excellent coaching today. But remember, she zeroed in pretty darn fast. What are we going to talk about? Because this is what's missing in so many conversations, is you get in there and nobody kind of clarifies that, and it's all over the place. Boom. She very succinctly, very expertly got clear. Then she paraphrased back. She gave some options. Sandra jumped on that and asked a lot. And I see it even in the chat area. You'll see people commenting. Trish said, I love the question, where might be the first place to start? Beautiful, nice open-ended question. And if you also noticed, who was doing most of the talking in this 15 minutes? Who was doing most of the talking? Well, it's pretty obvious it was Sandra. Exactly. That's what you want. If you're sitting there as the coach and you are babbling away and talking on and on, that is not coaching. That is something that's telling usually, or consulting or something. You're listening. Listening is so critical, and that's what we saw happening here today. Excellent questions. I also want to acknowledge very calm and focused, very acknowledging of Sandra Anger, created that safe space, even though obviously in a real coaching situation, you're not having 66 people observing you. And so there's some things that might not occur in that conversation that might if it was private. And then again, some people are using a coach approach. They're not, you know, in an organization and so on, and some it's a private coaching situation. So there's varying levels and degrees of that. But the point is what we saw happen here. And this is why we are all so passionate about coaching, is Sunivi supported Sandra on moving forward and taking some kind of action, didn't she? That's what we saw. And that's why coaching is growing so much, because this way of communicating, this way of interacting is about supporting people in moving farther, faster, easier, quicker, better than they would have without a coaching conversation. And I think that is extremely important to emphasize in this time that we've had here. I want to, I think these questions, what might be the triggers? She supported reframing. I'm just going to say what other things, what I'm hearing. Even if maybe you're not quite sure what you're hearing, it helps the coachee to clarify for themselves, because maybe it's not quite right what you're hearing, or maybe it's not exactly what they're thinking. When are you your best self? The other thing that Sunivi does, she believes that Sandra has it within her. She is capable. She's a go-getter. She can make whatever happen in her life. That's what we as coaches, when we're talking with someone who is going through a particular issue or challenge or whatever, we need to believe in them. We need to believe in their term I hear is possibility. We need to be their champions for it, even when they don't think they know what the heck they're doing or are unsure. So I know we need to get to our next coaching demo. I love the comments and the questions that are, this is fabulous. We're co-creating this. So thank you so much. And so I'll let Sunita, you'll be listening to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at the time, and let me see. Yeah, 15 minutes with a quick debrief, and then we'll, it's amazing how fast the time goes.
Sounds good.
So I'm looking for the wonderful Carlitha. And if Carlitha can now show herself on the, there she is. Hello, Carlitha. Nice to see you. And I guess, and I'm on video too, so I hope everybody can see Carlitha and myself. And we've got that working terrific. So Carlitha, if you just want to unmute yourself so that we can actually hear you. Terrific. Okay. Carlitha, thank you so much for being willing to be coached today. I really, really appreciate it. Could you just tell me, we've only got a short period of time, about 15 minutes. So what specifically would you like to use this time for?
Okay, well, hello, and thank you. I'm really been looking forward to this opportunity. My situation is, and I don't know the specifics, and I'm hoping that you can kind of coach me to that end. I retired at the end of last year from a career in human resources, and I have gotten a certification for coaching through another organization that's not affiliated with ICF. So now I'm pursuing my ICF credential through Coaching Out of the Box. But I started a coaching business the first of the year because it's something that I've been dabbling in, and now I have the freedom and the flexibility to go ahead full steam. But I've lost my sense of structure. So I've gone from a corporate position where I had a pretty structured routine, had, management, senior management, that kind of thing I was reporting to. But now that I have come into this business of my own as an entrepreneur, it's like my sense of structure and self-management has gone out the window. So I find myself just really not having the organization and the structure that I need, on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or, whatever that I'm doing. I find myself kind of doing whatever comes up at a given moment. And I want to get more structure in my life. I want to operate as a business person. It's a part-time coaching endeavor, but I just don't have any structure and don't have any real self-management going on right now. I think I've kind of allowed myself to fall into the quote unquote retirement status, and I'm allowing that to drive me instead of having a structured, business management process going on where I can say, these are my work hours, these are my volunteer hours, so I haven't been able to pull it together.
Okay, well, first of all, what a fantastic topic you bring to this coaching today. I, regardless of whether you're retired or not, so many people who go from working in a corporate environment to creating their own, whether full-time or part-time business, express a similar challenge. And I think you have articulated it so well, Carlitha. So what I'm wondering, with the short time that we have, what specifically would you like to walk away with today?
I'm thinking that what I really would like to walk away with is some strategy for how to better manage my time. I need to figure out who I am in this new world that I'm operating in. How do I want to show up? Who am I? What do I want to be? And I need some strategy for that. I definitely want to be a coach. There's no question about that. But what I need to do is develop a strategy for how I'm going to represent myself as a coach on a professional kind of basis. And so that's what I want to be able to tap into.
Okay, wow. So if I'm hearing you right, if I'm understanding correctly, if you had a strategy of how to present yourself out there in the marketplace, if I'm hearing you correctly, that would go a long way to supporting you in moving forward with coaching. Have I got that right?
Yes, that's I think that's a good summary. Because in my situation, I'm doing external coaching. And so I'm doing
Yes.
some coaching now. I do right much pro bono coaching. I work with nonprofits and coaching some of their clients and that kind of thing. So I am doing the coaching, but I don't have an ongoing set of clients that are in the queue as if I were doing internal coaching. So I'm out there trying to promote the coaching and trying to represent myself as a coach, which I think I do a pretty decent job of, but just being able to structure my time so that I can say, this is the business, these are my business hours, these are the hours that I have for coaching, and all of that kind of thing, so that I'm not just, I wake up today and, well, I decide that I'm going to go, to the gym, as opposed to saying, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, here are my coaching hours, or here are my business hours. I'm just struggling with how to set it up as a business in terms of my time, as opposed to just being willy-nilly and doing, whatever comes up. I don't know if you understand. I don't know if I'm presenting it in a way that's clear.
I think I hear you, and I'm kind of thinking there's a lot of other people. I just love that you're being so real about this, Carlitha. And here's something I'm curious about. Now, you just recently retired, and so what I'm hearing, you have a record of success at accomplishing things, and that's what I'm certainly hearing that.
Yes, that's true.
And you know what else I'm hearing is that you're already beginning to identify some of your strategies. You were talking about Monday, Wednesday, Friday, setting a specific time aside to go and talk to potential clients and so on. You've already got some people you're working with in the nonprofits. Have I got that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so if we were to just go forward, what are we at today? It's Wednesday. Okay. So within this next week, let's just say, if you and I were to connect next Wednesday and check in as to what has happened, what would you like to be able to tell me had occurred?
I think I would like to be able to say that I have the word structure keeps coming, the word I think that keeps resonating with me. But I think I would like to be able to say that I developed a time frame to be specific about when I was going to be in my coaching mode, in my business mode, as separate from the rest of the time of my day. So if I've got a 24-hour day, then I'm going to say, or let's just say if I consider my time frame for business as 25 hours a week, that I've got that is specific regimented time that I've got set aside to perform the aspects of the business. And that's really going to be my business time. When I was working in the corporate environment, I had, I knew I was going to be at work every morning at 9, and I knew I was going to work maybe till 7 at night or whatever, putting in my 60 hours a week or whatever it was. And so I knew that I had specific time that was work time. I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to the gym when I was going to be in my office. And now that I'm retired, I just need to be able to step up and create a schedule that I can say, I am a coaching professional. Here are my hours of work, and be able to stick to that. And I think that's what I just need the structure. That's the word. I just can't move away from that word.
Exactly. I'm hearing that over and over again. And you know what structure looks like is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
And so if you and I were to connect next Wednesday, what would be absolutely ideal to create for yourself between now and next Wednesday?
Well, what would be ideal would be a work schedule.
Okay.
That I could adhere to.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what's it going to take? Because I mean, I'm hearing and I'm seeing an extremely successful, confident, articulate woman who is, pressing forward in her life. And so what would it take for you to have a structure and have it identified and email it to me by next Wednesday?
5 minutes.
Okay.
Thanks, Anivi.
What I would need to do is I need to sit down and look at my calendar. Maybe what I would do is pull my calendar down and look at every aspect of what's going on in my day as I project that over the next week, and clearly block out and set aside the time frames that I can commit to as consider it as work time. I'm currently involved in some coaching out of the box classes. And so, all of that though is part of my work time, because that's part of the training and the development that I'm gleaning and that I'm gaining. And so I just need to be able to come up with a calendar that will properly reflect the time that I will consider work time, and then commit to sticking to that.
Okay.
And I could do that and email that framework to you by the next week.
Okay, perfect. I'm looking forward to getting it. You have my email, I think.
Yes, I do.
Allison at coachingoutofthebox.com. I can't wait to see it. I'm so excited, and you've already got, I'm telling you, what I'm hearing is a woman who knows how to create structure. And many years of creating structure, and it's just in a different context now. What I'm wondering is, because we're running out of time, I want to just check in. So what specifically are you walking away with as a result of our conversation today? Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think one thing for sure is, I think in this conversation, even as I hear myself talking, I know what I need to do. And I think I'm walking away with confirmation that, some of the things that I know that I need to do, that yes, these are things that I need to do. So this is, you're helping me to have confirmation of that. But also by saying, what can you do, and email to me by next week, you're taking me to that next level of taking the step. Because as long as it's within myself and I'm thinking about what I need to do, you're giving me the accountability piece that I need to be able to actually follow through with it. So I'm taking away that. So I've got a plan, but I've also got an accountability piece that you have offered, that you want me to email this to you. So I've got an action that I need to take, but I also have someone to whom I need to be accountable in taking that action. So that's great. That's delightful.
Okay. And what I want to say to you is thank you so much. And I know, and I've just been glancing a tiny bit, there's been lots of comments in this. So thank you so much for being willing to bring such an important topic. And I can't wait to get that email from you next Wednesday,
Okay.
filling me in on what has happened. So thank you so much. And
Thank you, Allison. This has been very rewarding. Thank you.
and I'm just grinning from ear to ear because I'm meeting you too, basically.
Yes.
Seeing you. I haven't seen you yet. I've seen your name, but I haven't seen you. So that's also very, very nice.
Yes.
So I'm going to let Sunivi jump in here and do a little bit of a debrief.
Okay.
Sure. And I feel like I'm joining the club of like grinning people as I'm like just feeling like the energy come through the screen. It's just really contagious, like this huge smile on your face, Carlita. Hi,
Yes.
by the way, good to see you again.
Hi, Sunivi.
And Allison as well, kind of mirroring and reflecting like this burst of energy that's come as a result of where this conversation has landed. So I just want to check in with you both quickly around how that was for you, and then we'll open up the floor because I'm seeing some great comments coming through in the chat here. Carlita, how was that for you?
Well, I thought it was very engaging. I, like Sandra mentioned, I volunteered to do this, and then I started wondering what in the world will I present as a situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I landed on this, I've just it just been going through my mind and how I might present it. And as I began to even think to myself what some possible solutions could be, I was actually looking forward to putting it out there and getting Allison's feedback or getting her to lead me down whatever path we would go down. But it was very engaging. And like I said, I was able to get confirmation on some observations that I had already made,
Mm-hmm.
some things that I had already thought to myself that I needed to do. But
Mm-hmm.
I realized now what I was lacking was the accountability piece. I didn't have anybody to whom I would show a schedule or that I would commit to doing something who would be there to follow up. It was just kind of it was self-talk and self-thinking. So that part of having her to say, what can you send me by a week from now? And that was the piece I think that really clinched it for me. So
definitely,
it was very, very helpful, very engaging.
Excellent.
Very
And
productive. Yes.
I saw comments coming through on the chat around that accountability factor and the accountability piece. She was really holding your feet to the fire.
Yes.
She was having you commit to that next Wednesday. I think she actually asked the question twice.
Yes.
And really had you come up with something concrete, which I think was so powerful in shifting that space of feeling a little bit stuck or maybe confused.
Yes.
To now I'm totally clear. Here's what I'm doing.
Exactly. And that's that phraseology being stuck, just feeling like I kind of somewhat felt like I knew what I needed to do, but I was just at odds as to how to make it come about.
Yeah. Awesome. And Allison, from your perspective, what do you think worked really well in that particular demo?
Carlita, she brought a fabulous topic and one that comes up first. That's why coaching is so important. Carlita was ready to go. He knew the brilliance is in Carlita. My job was just to kind of bring it out of her and create that structure of accountability is so important. And having somebody that's on your team, and that it doesn't have to be this massive project. 1 week.
Yes.
Baby steps. Sometimes we all get overwhelmed because we turn it into some massive thing. And bit by bit, and that will move mountains. That moves mountains. So Carlita, it was just such a pleasure. So this was an example of that, I think, today.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
So just want to go to the chat, or if anybody is feeling brave enough to pop on their microphone or camera and wants to make a comment, you're welcome to do that. But lots of comments coming through the chat here. So I'm just going to take a look at some of them here. What is getting in the way of creating the plan needed for the coaching business? Just goes to show we can't see everything ourselves. We need a coach to shine the light on the obvious. So, the obvious being, I actually heard Carlita say, I knew what I needed to do. It was just a matter of articulating that. And the words that came up again were having the structure, having the strategy, and the accountability piece. What do you think keeps you from applying the same structure that made you successful in the business? Yes. It's so important that we have someone in our lives who cares when we make even our smallest goals, that they know we're capable of and have patience with our stops.
Yeah.
So you could see Allison being fully supportive, holding the space, reflecting on Carlitha's strengths, all her accomplishments, the fact that we know that she can actually be fully successful in working toward achieving this goal. So just really quickly to the rest of the room, is there maybe one comment that folks want to make? And then I'll pass the time back to Allison. Anybody have a nugget of wisdom or a gem that you want to share? And if not, I know it can be intimidating coming online, or was there somebody there? Okay.
Well, I'm happy to jump back in, of course. And Suniti, thank you so much for doing such a great debrief. So we had two very, very different coaching demonstrations, different styles, different approaches, and both of them were focused on supporting someone in moving forward. This is all about forward movement. And I can't tell you how many times in my coaching life that just that one piece, knowing somebody's in their corner, somebody's got that is their champion. Because, you know, the thing with in Carlitha's place and in Sandra's place was something new, a new behavior, a new approach, something different. And yet they have a record of success at all of those things, but it's scary. It's scary, even though they've proven themselves in other times in their lives and so on. How great that they can have that person in their corner to support them in doing that, in making something happen and moving farther, faster, easier, quicker. So it's you know, I'm hopeful that this is demonstrating that and really equipping people, or maybe even strengthening your confidence around this. This is not, and I think sometimes we can overcomplicate what coaching is. This is not rocket science. We are not doing that. We are not, as the coachees, we're not the experts in someone else's way and life and approach and how they move forward. And with a good proven approach to coaching, we can be the experts in supporting that person, those people, those teams in organizations in coming up with their unique way of going forward. And I encourage you, you know, in any of your communications, whether you're a coach right now, whether you're learning coaching, whether you're in some programs, whatever it is that you're doing, take a bit of a risk this week. Take a bit of a risk in supporting, holding someone accountable, in not feeling like you have to figure it all out for them or come up with some fancy solution that you think would be brilliant. Not that we don't sometimes. I just really, really encourage that. And I also wanted to point out that, you know, we love doing these coaching demonstrations, and I'm curious, what's one thing, if you could put it in the chat, that you specifically are walking away with as a result of investing your time here today on these coaching demos that we've just done? What's one thing you're walking away with? And I'm looking at the chat, hopefully seeing something shortly, because that's what, more confident, that's what we want. Solution-based conversations, so affirming, good, it's potent, enthusiasm, questions, reflecting that, yes, that's what we want to do. And so I know we have a whole variety of people. I've seen how different styles are. It's about, that's right, it's about the client. It's about the coachee. It's not about you. You're there to support them. I just want to encourage anyone, if you want to join our fast track, we'll be sending out a follow-up email. We love to support organizations in creating this within their environments. And if you want to talk to our fabulous Sandra Anger, program advisor, we're happy to chat. That's our passion, is coaching and equipping as many people as possible to use coaching. And so I just want to again acknowledge Sandra Anger and Carletha Ward for being willing to jump in and be coached publicly like this. I also want to acknowledge and thank Sunevi, one of our fantastic coach facilitators, for being willing to jump in and not know what's going to happen. And I also want to acknowledge all of you for taking time out of your busy lives to come to this and just go out there and get coaching. So thank you so much, everybody, and have a great rest of your week. Hope we'll see you on another webinar again. Yes, I could see Thomas. Hello there. Nice to see you. I've seen your name. Nice to see you. Thank you so much, everybody. All right. Bye-bye now.